Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Balabha Girivara Dhari. Gopi Jana Balabha Girivara Dhari. Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachadi. Jamuna Tira Vanachadi. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Balabha Girivara Dhari. Gopi Jana Balabha Girivara Dhari. Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachadi. Jamuna Tira Vanachadi. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Kunja Bihari. Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivijagacharya Astatara Srimad His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavadinda Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Gora Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're continuing with Canto 10, Chapter 38, and we're discussing verses 7 and 8. 10, 38, 7, and 8. And we'll start this morning with Jiva Goswami's discussion of these verses in Krishna Sandarbha. And he writes, the following verses, 10, 38, 7, which describe the worship of Lord Krishna in ancient times, are further evidence for the eternality of the form of Sri Krishna. So, the translation. Akrura reflected, I am very much favored by Kamsa, who is sending me to bring Krishna and Balaram, thus enabling me to see the Lord. Formerly, great sages, and formerly, so the form is ancient, not recent only. Formerly, great sages and saintly persons became liberated from the material world simply by seeing the shining nails of the lotus feet of Krishna. And then we're going to read Jiva Goswami's commentary on 3 verses from Brahma Samhita, 33, 34, 35, and 33 reads, then the commentary for each one. I worship the Supreme Lord Govinda, who has no equal, who is infallible in protecting his devotees, who is the source of all others, but expands into infinite forms, who is topmost, who exists before all others, but is eternally youthful, and who is rarely attained by those studying the Vedas, but attained easily by his devotee. So Jiva Goswami made commentary on that verse 33 in the following. This and the next 2 verses confirm the extraordinary power of Govinda. Advaitam means that Govinda has no equal in the world, just as a king is incomparable to others. In the 3rd canto, Uddhava says, he quotes the part of the verse, Vishmapanam svasyacha, or his actions are amazing, Krishna. And that entire verse is 3 to 12. So Uddhava is speaking to Vidura. Vidura saw him, asked about Krishna, and Uddhava's describing Krishna. The Lord appeared in the mortal world by his internal potency, Yogamaya. He came in his eternal form, which is just suitable for his pastimes. These pastimes were wonderful for everyone. So that's the phrase. Vishmapanam svasyacha, his actions are amazing. Prabhupada's translation is, these pastimes were wonderful for everyone, even for those proud of their own opulence, including the Lord himself in his form as the Lord of Vaikuntha. Thus he, Sri Krishna's transcendental body, is the ornament of all ornaments. In the Kashi Kanda section of Skanda Purana, the word Achyutam is explained. Quote, he is called Achyuta, all-pervading, indestructible, and supreme in all the worlds, because by his mercy his devotees do not fall from their exalted positions, even at the time of destruction of the universe. Such mercy is illustrated in the following verses. So this morning's verses in that list. So this is emphasis. The topic is, Jiva Goswami says, is the powers of Krishna. So one of them is this Achyutam, and then another is his mercy. So here is mercy of Krishna coming through Kamsa. Indeed, today King Kamsa has shown me great mercy, extreme mercy, by sending me to see the lotus feet of Lord Hari, who has now appeared in this world. Simply by the effulgence of his toenails, many souls in the past have transcended the insurmountable darkness of material existence and achieved liberation. So that's mercy. Akura says, the next verse, those lotus feet, we didn't get to text 8, but here it is, text 8. Those lotus feet are worshipped by Brahma, Shiva, and all the other demigods, by the goddess of fortune, and also by the great sages and Vaishnavas. Upon those lotus feet, the Lord walks about the forest while herding the cows with his companions, and those feet are smeared with the kunkum from the gopis' breasts. That's text 8. Again, Uddhava, so this is glories of Krishna, his mercy. From Uddhava's visit to Vṛndāvana, sent by Krishna from Mathura, chapter 47. Uddhava says, the goddess of fortune herself, along with Lord Brahma and all the other demigods, who are masters of yogic perfection, can worship the lotus feet of Krishna only within her mind. But during the Rasa dance, Lord Krishna placed his feet upon these gopis' breasts, and by embracing those feet, the gopis gave up all distress. Shukadev describes the amazement of the inhabitants of Vraja on seeing merciful Krishna. Chapter 28. Thus, deeply considering the situation, the all-merciful Supreme Personality of Godhead revealed to the cowherd man his abode, which is beyond material darkness. This is chapter 28 is Krishna went to retrieve Nanda Maharaj from the abode of Varuna because he was kidnapped by them, bathing in the Dwadasi morning, etc. And when they came back, Krishna brought Nanda back. The elders were speculating, who is he? And if he is Narayan, will he show us his abode, his eternal abode? And so Krishna decided, merciful Krishna decided, show them. That was text 14, here's text 17, same chapter. Nanda Maharaj and the other cowherd men felt the greatest happiness when they saw that transcendental abode. They were especially amazed to see Krishna himself there, surrounded by the personified Vedas, who were offering him prayers. The words Anadim and Anantarupam and Adyam are illustrated in the 11th canto concerning a discussion on Sankhya philosophy, where the Lord teaches that Brahman remains after the total destruction of the universes. So this is Uddhava Gita section, Krishna to Uddhava, where he says, so these terms, Anadim, Anantarupam, Adyam, time merges into the Supreme Lord, present in the form of the omniscient Mahapurusha, the original activator of all living entities. That origin of all life merges into me, the unborn Anadi. There's one of the words. The unborn Supreme Soul, who remains alone, adyam, established within himself. It is from him that all creation, or anantarupam, creator of many forms, and annihilation are manifest. So what Jiva Goswami is doing here is he's taking verses of the Bhagavatam to illustrate or verify his points. And so he makes some statement. This is his standard procedure in the Sandarbhas. He makes some statement, and then the statement is supported by text from the Bhagavatam and then other texts that support that text from the Bhagavatam. So it's like a lawyer building his case. He makes a statement and then supports with legal cases that support his statement. Same chapter, Krishna speaking to Uddhava. Thus I, the perfect seer of everything, material and spiritual, have spoken this knowledge of Sankhya, which destroys the illusion of doubt by scientific analysis of creation and annihilation. So he's the source of unlimited forms by the process of creating. He's the original soul that remains even after cosmic annihilation. Adyam. We know that from one of the Chaturshloki verses. Ahamivasameva Agre is the first of the 4 Chaturshloki verses of the entire Bhagavatam that says the same thing. Before creation, I alone exist. During cosmic manifestation, I alone exist. After annihilation, I alone exist. So Krishna's form is eternal. It's not something that comes into being and then disappears or is annihilated. In Brahma's prayers to Krishna, chapter 14, he is going to explain how the Lord is the oldest person, Purna Purusha. Purana Purusha. So Brahma prays to Krishna, chapter 14. You are the one supreme soul, the primeval supreme personality, the absolute truth, self-manifest, endless, and beginningless. You are eternal and infallible, perfect and complete, without any rival, and free from all material designations. Your happiness can never be obstructed, nor have you any connection with material contamination. Indeed, you are the indestructible nectar of immortality. It's a nice phrase. Indestructible nectar of immortality. Indestructible nectar of immortality. And the same Purana Purusha is described in chapter 44 of the Bhagavatam, which reads, How pious are the tracts of land of Vraja, for there the primeval personality of Godhead, disguising himself with human traits, wanders about enacting many pastimes! ! Adorned with wonderful variegated forest garlands, he whose feet are worshipped by Lord Shiva and Goddess Rama vibrates his flute as he tends the cows in the company of Balaram. So, the primeval personality of Godhead, Purana Purusha. Then he explains the derivation of the word Purana is, though existing previously, pura, it remains fresh. Nava, pura, nava. Or thus, Purana and Navayovana are words that can exist together without contradiction. He's the oldest and Navayovana. They can exist simultaneously without contradiction. Should I go over that again? I'm going to go over that again. He's citing references from the Bhagavatam that speak of Krishna. Brahma says the inhabitants of Mathura describe Krishna this way. Chapter 44, he's entering Mathura. He hasn't met with Kamsa and Kuvalyapita, etc. But the citizens of Mathura are seeing him, and they're speaking of him as this Purana Purusha, the oldest person, the original person, the primeval personality of Godhead. But then he explains, Jiva Goswami says, to say that he's ever youthful and the oldest, there aren't contradictory. Here's why. Because this word Purana has these two parts of the word. Pura means existing previously, or though existing previously, it remains fresh. Nava. Purana. Thus, Purana and Navayovana are words that can exist together without contradiction. And then back to Krishna's entering Mathura and the residents saying, what austerities must the gopis have performed? This is a question that is asked again and again. What austerities did the cowherd boys do? What austerities did Nanda and Jasoda do? What austerities did the gopis do? These are covering the rasas. What austerities must the gopis have performed? With their eyes, they always drink the nectar of Lord Krishna's form, which is the essence of loveliness, and not to be equaled or surpassed. That loveliness is the only abode of beauty, fame, and opulence. It is self-perfect, ever fresh, and extremely rare. So just seeing him, Mathura residents are understanding and expressing these things. Now we're going to go to, or Jiva is going to take us to Canto 9, Chapter 24, where this is the section just before the Canto 10 begins, and it's describing some features of Krishna as follows. Krishna's face is decorated with ornaments, such as earrings resembling sharks. His ears are beautiful, his cheeks brilliant, and his smiling is attractive to everyone. Whoever sees Lord Krishna sees a festival constantly blooming. His face and body are fully satisfying for everyone to see, but the devotees are angry at the Creator for the disturbance caused by blinking. Canto 9, Chapter 24. Enlisting the qualities of Krishna, starting with Satyam, Shocham, Parikshit says, Canto 1, Chapter 16, these and many other transcendental qualities are eternally present in him and are never separated from him. So the main message from this morning's verse is how the persons became liberated just by the effulgence emanating from his toes or toenails. And the discussion is going from there to other features of Krishna that are transcendental and full of mercy. Gopaltampani Upanishad, in describing the form of Krishna suitable for meditation, says, "He is eternally beautiful, the color of a rain cloud, wearing the dress of a cowherd and sitting under a tree." The word taruna, or literally young, in this verse actually means that he has beauty which is always fresh, Vṛndāvana. His form is rarely attained by study of the Vedas. Brahma Samhita says that, but here's Uddhava saying it, chapter 47. The gopis of Vṛndāvana have given up the association of their husbands, sons, and other family members who are very difficult to give up, and they have forsaken the path of chastity to take shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda Krishna, which those learned in the Vedas search. Oh, Uddhava says, let me be fortunate enough to be one of the bushes, creepers, or herbs in Vṛndāvana, because the gopis trample them and bless them with the dust of their lotus feet. Back to Brahma's prayers, chapter 14. My greatest possible good fortune would be to take any birth, whatever, in this forest of Gokula, and have my head bathed by the dust from the lotus feet of any of its residents. Their entire life and soul is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mukunda, the dust of whose lotus feet is still being searched for in the Vedic mantras. And next comes another verse from Brahma's prayers. It's earlier in chapter 14, but it's a nice verse. Bhaktyaham ekaya graya shraddhayatma priya satam. Only by practicing unalloyed devotional service with full faith in me can one obtain me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is not Brahma's prayers, this is Uddhava Gita. I am naturally dear to my devotees, who take me as the only goal of their loving service. By engaging in such pure devotional service, even the dog eaters can purify themselves from the contamination of their low birth. Now we're back to Brahma's prayer. O Almighty Lord, in the past, many yogis in this world achieved the platform of devotional service by offering all their endeavors unto you and faithfully carrying out their prescribed duties. Though through such devotional service, perfected by the process of hearing and chanting about you, they came to understand you, O fallible, infallible one, and could easily surrender to you and achieve your supreme abode. And we're almost done here. There's some reference. This is Jiva Goswami's commentary, and there's the comment for the author is, this is from the Haridas edition. I don't know what that means. So it's commentary on text 33, Brahma Samhita. In what aspect is the Lord actually Advaita or incomparable? Taking the literal meaning. In what aspect is the Lord actually Advaita or incomparable, taking the literal meaning? Krishna is incomparable in giving his own body to his devotees. Thus, the devotee is superior to the Lord. Question: How can we say that he alone remains and is thus called the Achyuta? Vishnu alone remains after Pralaya. Response: no. The actual meaning should be that he suffers no degradation by giving himself to his devotees. So when he gives himself to his devotees, it's not that they become superior and he loses his superior position. That is why he is called the Achyuta. He does not ever fail to take pleasure in his devotees. Question: are you praising Narayan then? For he has the quality of Achyuta and Anadi. Answer: no. Anadi means without beginning. It refers to he who is the final cause of all other things and without cause, being self-revealing. Narayan has a source in Krishna. Question: how can one person protect all beings? Answer: thus it is said that he has unlimited forms, or anantarupam, can mean he enters the material world unlimitedly to help the jivas, or anantarupam can mean that he has a spiritual form which is unlimited by material standards, from a portion of which arises all qualities such as unlimitedness. Paragraph. And this is our last for this morning. To show the perfection of qualities like Ananta in Krishna over Narayana, the word Adyam is used. This means that Krishna has an expanded form called Narayana, Anantarupam, and one of them is Narayana. Question: then Krishna should be designated as the Purusha? No, he is rather called the Purana Purusha, the person who appears before the Purusha, Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu is just his expansion form. Question: then he should be very old? No, he's very young. The Kaishora age, Navayovana. The word cha indicates that simultaneously he has always existed in this manner. He is not new. Inconceivably, he remains eternally young. Question: but Narayan alone is praised in the Vedas. Answer: if one knows the real meaning of the Vedas, then Krishna can be attained by studying them. But actually, only by bhakti is Krishna to be known. Thus, he is easily attained by his devotees. Adurlavam Atma Bhaktal. That's commentary on text 33. So let's see if we can connect this back to Canto 10, Chapter 38, text number 7, and then coming up is text number 8. There's many things that it's important for our acharyas to make it clear to their audience, us, and then everybody who else who may contact our acharyas, is to again and again, in so many ways, from so many different angles, be very clear about the absolute truth, meaning that which is the source of everything. And the absolute truth is a person, and that absolute truth has a form, and that form is not material. Material meaning that which comes and goes, or it undergoes is through this transformation through the phases of time, past, present, future. We spent, I recall, it came up several times, this Shadvikar, the 6 transformations of anything of this world: birth, staying for some time, producing byproducts, dwindling, vanishing, and death. So Krishna doesn't undergo those. A very elaborate description from scripture that Krishna doesn't undergo those. There's no transformation for Krishna. although it appears that he's transforming from different stages of life. So without going through all that again, I'm making the point that our acharyas are very keen, whenever the opportunity arises, or create the opportunity, to make it again and again and again impenetrably clear that Krishna's form is eternal, and that form is the source of everything. And from that form of Krishna comes his qualities, comes the spiritual and the material realm, comes his activities and characteristics, and all of them are in the same spiritual position. Because for example, the Vedas speak of the absolute truth being nirguna. And so the impersonals go, aha, he has no qualities. So all these qualities over there that you're getting all enthused about, that's just a covering. And behind the covering is the absolute Brahman, and that's it. That's the absolute truth, the impersonal Brahman with no qualities. And anything with qualities is something that's a covering of Brahman. So on the strength of the Vedas, but most importantly the Bhagavatam, but the other portions of the Vedas say the same thing. And so again and again our acharyas want us to be really clear. No clouds, no uncertainty, no doubts, that the form of Krishna is the source of everything and is fully spiritual. And the qualities from that form are fully spiritual. And over again. That's Bhagavan is fully spiritual. So it's Bhagavat Sandarbha, that's found abundantly in Bhagavat Sandarbha. The verses that we're reading, Jiva Goswami is commenting on Brahma Samhita, which is largely doing the same thing. What's the position of Bhagavan? What's the position of Krishna as original source even of the other forms of Bhagavan, such as Narayan, etc., and the avatars and everything else. So although he's, back to one of the points, although he's the oldest Purana Purusha, he's Navayovana, very youthful, eternally youthful. And what is there that's eternally youthful, that has form? It's not a material form, it's not eternally youthful. Okay, well, if it's eternally youthful, then how can that be the source of everything? Well, he's Purana Purusha, the oldest person. And all other persons are secondary or from that original person. It's not, on the one hand, it's defeating Mayavad. On the other hand, it's glorification. Just like everything that we do in devotional service, something is cleansing and purifying of coverings and contaminations. And on the other side, it's awakening appreciation and exaltation and glorification of, in connection with the Supreme. So making these distinctions may be an exercise that for some people it's just not so important. It's not, they don't have conviction in impersonal Brahman. So, thank you very much, but I'm convinced. And I don't really, I don't have the intellectual tendency to look at these things in the way that our acharyas look at these things. Nonetheless, if somebody is in that position, like many devotees, many devotees, it's purifying in any case. Just like hearing the Hare Krishna mantra for people that don't know what it is, it's purifying in any case. So that it's beneficial. Let them hear the Hare Krishna mantra whether they understand it or they don't understand it. They appreciate it or they don't appreciate it. Let them hear it anyways, because it's cleansing and purifying and beneficial. Even if their mind's in the gutter, or even if they're making fun of it or something like that, let them benefit just from hearing. That's the Sankirtan. I'm just listening to Prabhupada explaining. He's in New Vṛndāvana, and he's explaining those verses from chapter 5 of Canto 1, where Vyasadeva is compiling the Vedas and so forth. So, and he's being instructed by Narada. Why is he feeling despondency? So, the composition of transcendental sound is beneficial for everyone, even if it doesn't have literary ornaments, even if there's some flaw in its composition, etc. There's a celebrated verse that says like that. But it's beneficial for everyone. And the benefit for everyone is the distribution of this knowledge, because due to the lack of knowledge, there's ignorance. And due to ignorance, people are suffering. So a well-wishing person that sees ignorance, do you see ignorance in this world? Too much. And, violence, that's another dimension of ignorance. So what to do? The distribution of knowledge will eradicate ignorance. And then and with that, the sufferings and the misdeeds due to ignorance or wrong understandings of the values of life. Just by the distribution of this knowledge. Somehow. And the distribution of the knowledge is not just selling books. It's also, that's a beginning for people that don't have knowledge to have some knowledge. But then to engage with people, I'm advocating these reading groups program. It's really nice. Because that's the cure from this age of Kali. At least the people who take shelter can get relief from the horrors of this age of Kali. They don't have to struggle with the waves of the age of Kali that are going on anyways, but we don't have to. And it's not resting upon you have to be a scholarly person. Just hearing the sound vibration is beneficial. That's the faith of Vyas, of Narada speaking to Vyas, and it's the faith of Vyas in doing what he's doing, and the rest of the disciplic succession to distribute this knowledge and encourage people to receive it. And the benefit will be there just by hearing it. A lot is not going to be understood because it's transcendental, and we don't have a lens to look into transcendence. We're covered. That's okay. Hear the sound vibration, and that cleansing will take place, and the awakening of the connection with transcendence will also take place. And then these things that are contradictory, he's the oldest person and he's eternally youthful, becomes, wow, that's nice. He's not material. That's the meaning. Let's see if we can have some discussion. It's almost 1/4 the hour.
Hi Krishna Guru Maharaj. I have a question about this. It's a little confusing. In the Vedas, they say that it's Krishna, he's Nirguna. and acharyas, we say that he has gunas. And
That he has no material qualities. Nirguna means no material qualities.
okay.
But he has spiritual qualities.
Right.
That's the answer.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah. And similar lines in the scriptures, it says we meditate on the lotus feet of Krishna, and acharyas, we emphasize on sound vibration.
Yeah.
So where is that aligned?
How do those two connect?
Yeah.
Well, it's something, for me it's really easy. It's like deity worship. When we go to see the deity, the recommendation is see the lotus feet first, and then gradually the other features. Now, commonly that's not done. One just sees the form of the deity. Or one just, right away goes to the face of the deity. Commonly that's what people do, as far as I can understand. And they see the smiling face of the deity, or the garlands they're wearing, the nice decorations and the turbans and the peacock feather and Krishna's flute, and that's where their attention goes. And that's okay, because the form is all absolute. Just like any beginning to read any canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is fine, but the recommendation is start at Canto 1. That's the Lotus Feet, Canto 1. Because to understand the further cantos, a good foundation in Canto 1, that's the Lotus Feet. So that's the literary form, then the deity form, and then the spiritual form. So you approach the lotus feet of the Lord. You approach the lotus feet of the Lord. That means, implied in there is humility. Falling at when Akrura sees Krishna, he falls at their feet again and again, hundreds of times. He's like, he's just ecstatic. So their feet indicate their form. You're at the feet of someone, and you're connected to their form, because the feet are part of the form. So the hearing process begins from Canto 1 and 2, the hearing, the lotus feet. So the emphasis is approach in the mood of humility. The hearing is not for information purposes or challenging purposes. It's for receiving in a humble mood the association of the Lord in form of sound. That's the emphasis, but it's also the mood of the hearer, as opposed to other moods that might be someone who's hearing. It's the mood of humility, the lotus feet. And then the emphasis upon hearing is there are different forms of the Lord, and that's the recommended access to the Lord's form, is through hearing.
Hearing of the holy name.
Yeah, same. Bhagavatam and the holy name, same. Vacha and Vachaka, you know that. So Nama and Nami, same. So there's Rupa Goswami describes this. You can look it up later if you like. It's Namastaka, 8 verses glorifying the name. Number 6, he says, eternally you have 2 forms, your spiritual form and the form of your name. Because the name also has form. There's the spiritual form and there's the form of the name. And then he goes on to say, of the 2, the form of the name is more merciful. But if they're equal, then how come one be more merciful? And the answer, he says, is you may offend the form of Krishna, but if you call his name, you can be relieved from that offense. But not the other way around. So the form of the name of Krishna is most merciful. But that's a detail. So there are these features. It's not just, let's say, the name of Krishna is just a sound. The teaching is the name of Krishna is the form of Krishna through sound. I'll say it again. The name of Krishna is the form of Krishna coming to you through sound. So you or I may not be qualified to see the form of Krishna, but we're qualified to call the name of Krishna. And one more time, the name of Krishna is the form of Krishna in sound. Therefore, the sound approach is recommended. And the at the lotus feet is the mood of humble service. When chanting the name, it's humble service. It's not, I'm the enjoyer. I can call Krishna just like that, and he's obedient. He'll come. No. In the mood of humble service, that's at the lotus feet. So that's the Nama and Nami message. So through the Nama, the Nami is revealed. The spiritual form of Krishna becomes revealed through Nama. Is that, you didn't get to say your whole question, but does that cover it?
So while we're chanting and meditating, so we should just focus on hearing,
Yes.
and gradually we'll reach at that level where we can, like, focus will go on the lotus feet.
On the what?
On the form of the Krishna.
Yes. The name, that the form of Krishna is revealed through the name. So with that understanding, with faith, let me, or you, or all of us, focus on, with devotion, not the mechanical approach, but with devotion, strive to hear the name. With faith that the form of Krishna will be revealed. So to see the form of Krishna is, from his side, he extends some mercy. What's our eligibility for that mercy? Well, we don't have too much eligibility for anything spiritual. But by calling the name with faith, then that creates the eligibility. Krishna sees the effort, then he may, because it's in his hand, it's his potency to reveal his form. So we're hoping for that. But even if he doesn't, we have faith it's going to bring us to a sense of connection with Krishna and please Krishna by devotionally calling his name, wanting to serve him in that humble lotus feet approach. So yes, I'm just embellishing a little bit. Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. My question is on Achyuta, and Lord is infallible and he always protects the devotees.
Yes.
But a lot of times, I'm not at that level that Krishna will protect me. That's what I think. That thought comes because I'm not a pure devotee. I have a lot of other sides, but then I don't deliberate that Krishna doesn't protect me, but still that will be there because I'm not there to Krishna to come and protect me. But then we understand that ye yatamam prapadyante. How do I develop the dependence on Krishna by gradually making progress?
How do I develop dependency on Krishna by gradually
making the progress? Not like.
Well, you have two boys, and one may be more affectionate, another more distracted, or whatever. But you're going to be protective of both of them, not just depending upon the moment and how they're feeling towards you. So if you're like that, what's Krishna like? Now he's a person, and he feels especially protective of his devotee. You know, that this is that celebrated verse, I'm equal to everyone but partial to my devotee. Samaham sarvabhuteshu. But it's natural. Those that are turning to him for protection, he extends. But he's not going to interfere. But he's protective. And at the same time, according to how we have regard for him. So your two boys, one is particularly affectionate. You're going to reciprocate that affection. It's not you're partial towards him and kind of not feeling so good about the other one or something like that. It's just a natural reciprocation when affection is extended. It's reciprocated with. And you may extend affection to the one the one who, or even that same child who is, in a grumpy mood or whatever, something. So you'll be affectionate anyways. But they're not contradictory. Krishna is equal, and he's affectionate, especially affectionate to those who show him affection. It's natural. Not just human, it's spiritually. The human is from the spiritual side. It's natural. So like he has special affection, Krishna has special affection for the residents of Vṛndāvana, because they have special affection for him. And he feels their affection for him and reciprocates with their affection for him. But that doesn't mean, you're such an insignificant person, Krishna has no affection for you. Recognizing his kindness, his nature of kindness, that will help inspire you to reach out to Krishna in just whatever my covered condition is. I want to be connected with you, and Krishna will see that and he'll help. So he doesn't interfere with our free will, and he reciprocates with our free will as we extend ourselves to him. In the bhakti process, through association and good instructions and sound, we're encouraged to go more to the shelter side, seeking shelter. Okay?
Another question, Maharaj. Regarding that he alone exists.
Which one?
He alone exists, the Lord alone exists, after creation.
The Lord alone exists, okay.
So that is in reference to this material world.
Well, it certainly is in reference to the material world, but it's in reference to everything. In the absolute sense, what's that thing? Okay. In the absolute sense, what is there that exists separate from Krishna? So there's oneness and difference, but emphasizing the oneness feature, there's nothing that exists separate from Krishna. So I alone exist. It's not just in reference to the material. It's everything, spiritual, material. I alone exist. There's difference, but the emphasis is on the oneness part. Okay? No? Huh? Okay, go ahead.
Question from Amara Mataji. With reference to helping others to get out of ignorance, at times I feel that I myself go through the sine curve. Then I feel fear of commitment. how to start.
How to start? 1 foot at a time.
Then other questions from Mahati Kirti Mataji. She asks, in Virat Rupa, it is mentioned that hellish planets are his feet and legs, and we need to have darshan from his lotus feet. What is the connecting?
That's the universal form, and then his spiritual form. So we don't take shelter of the hellish planets. We take shelter of his spiritual form.
Okay. And in Virat Rupa, position of Bhuloka is not mentioned.
Which one?
Bhuloka, earthly planet. Yeah. How do we understand that?
I don't know. They're certainly there. It's the waste, as far as I can recall. It's a waste. Yeah. But you might go to find other descriptions of the Virat Rupa, and I'm sure you'll find Bhuloka mentioned as at his waist.
Is Virat Rupa a form of one universe?
Yes.
I think that's it.
Okay.
That's it, Maharaj.
You have. Okay.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. I got a lot of questions answered in today's session.
Good.
So first one will be. So the first one will be. I had a question on how to read Sandarbhas.
You have a question on
how to read Sandarbhas.
How to read the Sandarbhas.
So you already explained that.
Okay, I think you should just start reading Prabhupada's books, and he makes reference to the Sandarbhas, and then you can get a sense before you begin reading the Sandarbhas. Okay?
And then another question was these qualities, Krishna's qualities, his form, his descriptions, Acharya was praising him again and again. So many repetitions, and I was like, why so many repetitions? And I was
because we're dull.
Right. But today's session, I understood that they were trying to refer to this context, that context. But for me, because of my ignorance, I'm not able to see the difference. But today, it's very clear that it's like what is Adyam, what is Achyutam, and all this. There is so much detail in that. Every single thing, and
so this is
they're connecting with the.
And even those same verses, my experience from reading Jiva Goswami's writings is he'll, similar to what Prabhupada would do, he would take that same verse in another place, and same verse in another place, and same verse in another place, and then by the context of making that reference, you can understand, I can understand better what Jiva Goswami is intending to communicate. And there's shades of meaning, but there's a general force or general thread. Okay, Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki jai.